Ratzenberger.
Ratzenberger, ja. I'm German, so.
Das ist sehr gut.
Oh, danke, sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Es ist.
Ah, ich habe in Mainz für 3 Jahre gewohnt.
Kan ik maar een sigaret? Ik ken je na.
Nein.
Nee,
How's the show going for you?
How's what?
How's the show going for you?
Oh, good. Yeah, no, it's busy. You got carpal tunnel and everything that goes along with that. So, everything's great. You got a coal miner here.
Coal mine.
Yeah.
You see a coal mine?
Yeah, right there.
Oh, the Hulk.
What is it?
Stand up, Hulk.
He's the hipster Hulk.
Oh, I thought that you were a coal miner didn't have time to shower. Yeah. And I love Providence. My daughter went to school here.
Right.
And yeah, with Providence College, she's a friar. So we got really used to Federal Hill. I live in Connecticut, so I'm just down the road. So if anybody's got any problems, just let me know. I'll come right up. Only a couple hours away. Down there in the Nutmeg State.
That's where I'm from too.
Is that right?
I'm from, actually I live right next door to you. I'm in Fairfield.
Yeah, where'd you go to high school?
Oh, I grew up in New Canaan. I went to New Canaan High.
That doesn't count. That's the rich kids are in New Canaan. We're in Bridgeport, you know. So
Well, we got some Bridgeport people here?
No. If you have Bridgeport people over here, they'd be either in jail or they'd have police escorts.
And actually, I remember the first time we met, we were talking about that area of the country, from New York to New Haven, has the best pizza in the world.
According to the food critic of the New York Times, who did a study, this is years ago, he did like a 2 or 3 year study, and his job was to find the best pizza in the world. He came back with, it's the southern coast of Connecticut between New York and New Haven. So, but that's what they said, the best pizza on the planet. And I grew up there. I grew up right in the middle of it, so I didn't know. I just thought every place I traveled, they didn't know how to make pizza. I don't know. Maybe they just don't know how. But it had something to do with the water. See, acting like Cliff here. It's the water content, the minerals, the maple trees. The proximity of the maple trees to the yolks. But it really is good pizza here. Yeah.
Well, since you brought up Cliff Clavin, I think that might be a good place to start. I think what's interesting, the entire cast, all the characters were just fantastic. You know, Norm and Sam and Carla. And I thought what was interesting was how you got the role for Cliff Clavin. You can explain the story behind the creation of that character.
I paid him. So, no, I had been living in England for 10 years prior to going to Los Angeles. I was in Los Angeles writing I was a writer, and I knew how to spell and everything. So I finished a writing job for CBS. I wrote a late night comedy based on the life of the Emperor Nero, and which wrote itself. I mean, this Nero was nuts. You really didn't have to make anything up. But right at the end of that, somebody said, "Hey, they're auditioning for this show that takes place in a bar in New England, and you're in New England, they're watching." So I said, "Yeah, I went in." And I had never auditioned in my life up to that point, because I never went to acting school. You probably could tell at times. And so I just, I went in, and that was my first audition in my life. And I had already been working 10 years in London, because we were doing our own shows. Me and Ray Hassett, who's downstairs signing. But we did our own two-man comedy show through Europe and got more popular and more popular. So we never had to audition for anything. And so my first audition was Tears, and I did terribly. It was horrific. I was stammering because I had this thing I had to read, and I don't know. So I was just leaving the room, and then I turned around and I said, "Do you have a bar know-it-all?" And one of the producers, Glenn Charles, said, "What are you talking about?" And that's all I needed, because our shows in Europe were all improvised comedy. So that was now he was in my territory. Because what are you talking about? I go, well, you know, the kind of guy who goes, you know, the original glacier water didn't come from a glacier. And, you know, Evian spelled backward is naive. You know, that kind of thing. And it got them to laugh enough that I could leave the room with my dignity. That's really what I was going for. And 2 days later, I got a call. I said, we'd like to try that character out for 7 episodes. And 11 years later, I was still there.
Getting back to Kaleb, I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you have any good witticisms that he gave, or any lines that he gave that you liked? Anyone that stick out?
Well, for Cheers?
For Cheers, yeah.
Well, I made up a lot of the lines. They let me, I was the only actor they let improvise. And yeah, there's one, as a matter of fact, there was a show where Woody was going out the door and Cliff goes up to Woody. That's the character I played, by the way, Cliff. And, because I don't have the uniform on, I didn't know, you may not know. And so in my mind to Woody was, as written was, Woody, love is like a little bird. If you hold it too tightly in your hand, you'll crush it. But if you let it go, it'll fly away and eventually come back to you. And that's the way it was written. So when the cameras are rolling and the audience was there, I changed it to, Woody, love is like a little bird. If you hold it in your hand too tightly, you'll crush it. And if you let it go, sure as hell, some son of a bitch will get it with a BB gun. Because I knew they weren't going to use it anyway, but I thought, I got to take a shot at it because it's a good line. Because it's true.
All right, try to press you. Can I press you for another one, or is it?
Another line?
Another line, or scene with Cliff interacting.
I mean, it's 11 years of. There were just times that we would laugh so much sitting on those bar stools. I remember the one time George went, we fell on the floor. We were on the floor laughing, tears in our eyes. This is while the audience is there. And the cameras are going. The director, Jimmy Burr, goes, cut. Come on, guys. We'd have to gather ourselves and get back on the stools. But yeah, that's one time too, and nobody noticed. Woody was down our end of the bar, and he was looking. There was a close-up of him, and he had this kind of monologue he was saying to somebody sitting there. And George and I could go like that and touch Woody. That's how close he was. But the camera frame was here, so we weren't on camera. But George and I, we had these little bar straws and napkins. So we made spitballs. And then we're going, and then Woody's talking, and he goes, like this, because his hair is filled with spitballs. And the funny thing to us was, the director didn't see it, the audience didn't see it, Woody didn't notice, and when I see that on TV, I could see the spitballs going into his hair. So it escaped all the editing and everything else. So George and I were just laughing, it was so funny.
When Cheers ended, there was an idea of doing a Cliff and Norm, movie or story on its own. I was wondering if you could comment on that a little bit.
Oh yeah, no, the Paramount Pictures approached George and I, and they wanted to do a movie like Cliff and Norm go to sea, Cliff and Norm fly to the moon, Cliff and Norm, they're detectives in Paris. And we just thought it was a great idea, but the people who owned Cheers that didn't want to let those characters go out of their control, so that never happened. But to this day, it's a good idea.
And I was saying we should start like a Facebook page saying, bring back Cliff and Norm.
We can go right ahead.
Rob, I want you to do that right now. I want you to create the page. I'm not kidding you. Create the page right now on your phone. By the time the panel ends, I want everybody here to join it. Okay, we're going to get 200 people on this. Bring back Cliff and Norm.
because there was a Bob Hope and Bing Crosby. Many of you probably never heard of them. But yeah, they had an on the road series, you know, where these guys would go to Morocco, and Laurel and Hardy did the same thing. Laurel and Hardy would be in the French Foreign Legion, and Laurel and Hardy would be on a tramp steamer somewhere. So it was basically the same formula that they wanted to do.
There would just have to be a lot of beer involved.
For Norm, yeah. And I directed quite a few of the shows too. And one of the ones I directed was where Norm got a job as a beer taster in a brewery.
You obviously have an extremely successful career in Pixar. Oh, so you guys did that already? And I wanted maybe we can just... I'm sorry?
Avery the Pig?
Maybe we can talk a little bit about, we can start with Toy Story. And what it was like, you know, getting involved with that, and how the reporting process was and so forth.
Well, it's just really this. You just show up and got the script and the microphone, and the beauty of Pixar is that they do all the heavy lifting for the acting. Because the director, whether it's John Lasseter, Andrew Stanton, Pete Docter, or Brad Bird, whoever it is, they've also written the script, and probably over a period of 2-3 years. So they know every nuance and every comma and semicolon in that script. So when you're recording for them, all you do is do what they say. They say softer, louder, longer, shorter, because they know the rhythm of the words. Because it's like just like music. And so that's the beauty of working with Pixar, because they've done all the heavy lifting. A lot of times you go in and the director really, maybe read the script 2 or 3 times, and then it's this, and so there's a lot of questioning back and forth. But now with Pixar, they know exactly what they're doing, and the standard too. It's like the educational system used to be here in the United States, where the standard is here, and your job is to reach that level. We're not going to lower the standard just because you're a knucklehead. You come in, because I was a knucklehead in school. You come in, but the standard was here. Okay, your job is to get there. It's not our job to go like this, like they've done in a lot of schools now. But Pixar, the standard is there. And if a project is not up to their standard, they won't release it. They've done that once already. It's just not to the Pixar standard. Now I've been working with them 20 years. I don't know how many Academy Awards and Golden Globes and everything else they have. So you'd think at some point, just, human nature is like, let's slide on this one. We got enough awards, and we're making billions of dollars. But they don't. Every film they do is like the first film they ever did. And it's really remarkable when you think about it. But there's no sliding with them. It's boom, it's right there. And that's where you're going. And it always amazes me. Like I said, I've been working with them 20 years and they haven't changed at all. But I guess that also a little bit comes from Steve Jobs as well. Because he's the guy who kicked it off. But John Lasseter is the key. He's the boss.
Do you have a favorite character that you've played for Pixar?
Yeah, I enjoy them all. P.T. Fleet is one of my favorites, because flaming death. Only because he's so avaricious, he'd sell his grandmother for a nickel. It just makes me laugh. And everything he does, it's all about money. We're gonna make money. And every now and then in life, you meet somebody like that. And even then, I think it's funny. When it's a real person, we can do it. And I just have to bite my lip. It's with that phrase, stop and smell the roses. There's certain people that don't know that roses exist. And I just think that's funny, that's all.
I like the baby, he's my favorite.
Oh, Hammy, yeah, that was the first one I did, because they were using Cliffy's voice while they were drawing Hammy before I ever met them, and so that when it came to hire an actor, they said, let's just call Ratzenberger, see if he'll do it. I said, yeah, well, why not? You know, what's not to like? But nobody had ever heard of Pixar up to that point, so there's a lot of people that turned them down, actors that they went after. And even the first Toy Story, they went to Mattel, I think it was, because they wanted to use a Barbie doll. And Mattel wouldn't give them permission to use the Barbie doll. But the second Toy Story, Mattel was begging them.
Earlier you said that your favorite person you voiced was the flea from A Bug's Life.
Right.
Do you have a favorite Pixar movie?
Ooh, that's another tough one. It's like the Cheers question, because they're all so good. And boy, you know, I really liked Up.
Yeah.
That's, and I don't think it's ever been done in the history of cinema before, where the first 10 minutes of the movie had no dialogue. Nobody talked, but yet everybody in the audience is crying because it's so touching. And that's
a love story than Twilight.
what?
Sure is.
Twilight, though. Just saying.
It's better than Twilight.
There was in the Twilight Zone.
That sparkle. Get my people that sparkle. Yeah.
People sparkle. Has she been drinking? But anyway, yeah. So I would say Up. Yeah, I just because of the artistry. But the other thing too is that, you know, you see Pixar movies, you know, and I've got grandkids now, and so I get to see the pictures a lot. And every time, I mean, I must have seen like Monsters Inc. a dozen times, but every time I see it, I see something different.
Yeah.
It's like going to a museum and you see a beautiful, you know, Rembrandt or Rubens or Da Vinci, and every time you look at it, there's something different. You see, oh God, look at the shadows or the way they drew the floors or the clouds. But that's the other, again, everything you see in Pixar, just, they're artists, they're true artists, so very, very fortunate for some, you know, Pollock from Bridgeport to be part of that. What's that on your hat? Is that a pine tree?
Yeah.
What's
Yes.
it from?
Gravity Falls,
Hey.
the TV show.
Gravity Falls?
Yeah.
Is that drunk girl? So that's all right. You know, I think you're fine. Did you have any more questions? Oh no, you just wanted the patch. That's all.
Good afternoon. Considering you've worked with two different Woodies, which Pixar or Cheers, do you feel that they have typecast you? And are you comfortable with that? Or some actors are not comfortable being typecast and some are. So are you like Bill?
I don't care. You know, if I go home, you know, and they haven't changed the locks, you know, then it's a good day. That's all. No, I've been working straight through for 42 years now. So, and because I also write and direct, and I'm a pretty good carpenter, so I'll always find work.
For years and years, in the 70s, you were one of those many American actors working as, you know, the token Yank in the British film industry.
In London, yeah.
Yeah. I was wondering, how did you get involved with that? And did you find it enjoyable compared to over here? And then what made you stop it?
What was the last sentence?
Oh, what made you come back?
To America?
Yeah.
It was a job at CBS writing the late night show about the Emperor Nero, because I was hired to do that. Well, I went over there originally. I was a journeyman carpenter up, in Vermont, New Hampshire, traveling around and whatnot. I actually helped build a stage at Woodstock. I was there pounding nails, and actually Ray Hassan, who's downstairs, signing autographs. He had gone to London. We knew each other in college, and he sent me a postcard like, "Oh, it's great over here. You ought to come visit." So eventually I thought, go pop over and visit. He was working as a social worker. Again, I was a carpenter. And I just went over to visit, and for a week, I ended up staying 10 years. And he and I started our comedy shows and then traveled around and this and that. And then he went off, talk about an interesting life. He went off, he became a cop in New Haven, Connecticut. And then, went through the ranks to be a homicide detective and undercover. So he ended his career as a lieutenant commander. And so he's had quite an extraordinary life. But he was also in Star Wars and Superman. And so anyway, I stayed there 10 years. Did that come anywhere near answering the question? Mezza mezza. Comme ci, comme ça. All right. Thank you.
You both were in Empire Strikes Back together.
Yes. Yep. Well, not in the same scenes, but yeah. You're there.
Hey sir, thanks for being here. My family and I are living in Rhode Island for only 1 year, so we're trying to make the most of New England. What are the top 3 pizza places? You mentioned pizza earlier. Top 3 pizza places in Connecticut we need to visit. And for the sake of my daughter, could you please answer in a Pixar voice? I'd really appreciate it.
Is the top 3 pizza places? This is from Ratatouille. It's Modern Pizza in New Haven. Testo's in Bridgeport. And there's one up here at Reverdes. Thank you.
First of all, my wife stole my question about the underminer. I know she knew it. But so my follow-up question is this: you was involved in 3 major franchises: Star Wars, Superman, and now Pixar. What was your favorite film?
Favorite film that I've ever done?
Of those 3
About just those 3?
Yeah.
Well, what were the 3? Superman?
Superman, Star Wars, and the Pixar franchise.
Oh, Pixar.
No, hands down.
Hands down.
I figured so.
And it's been quite a journey. 20 years I've been working with them.
What do you love about voice acting? What do you miss about character acting?
Well, I still do the character acting. I just finished 2 films this year. I got another one coming up in a couple of weeks. I got to go back to Los Angeles. So I still do that, but I don't differentiate. It's a job, and I'm an old school actor. That if you call yourself an actor, you should be able to do voiceovers, radio, stage, television, film. You should be able to sing. You should be able to dance.
You gonna do that for us now?
What's that? If I had a pair of tap shoes, boy, I was on Dancing with the Stars. Yeah, for the 4th season, I did okay too. But so I look at it like, like if a plumber shows up at your house and he's got a bag of tools and he doesn't even know what really the problem is yet, but he's got a lot of tools and he knows how to use every tool in that bag. Actors should be the same thing. So the animation voiceover, to me, it's no different than being on a film, a character role. Because that should be part of your repertoire. And so I'm just old school like that, I'm old fashioned. Grump. Yeah, thank you.
First of all, John, I don't know how much you realize how much of an impact you made in my childhood. I mean, I love most of the Pixar films I've seen have just been like eye-opening and life-changing for me. So like, thank you so much for your contributions. My question is, what is your favorite Pixar character that you didn't voice in the films?
That I voiced in the film?
That you didn't voice.
Didn't voice?
Yeah, like, aside from your characters that you voice.
I've never been asked that before. There's so many good ones.
Yeah.
Boy, Mr. Potato Head just always makes me laugh. Don Rickles.
Yeah.
And it just cracks me up. I just think that. So I guess that would be, one, yeah. And then the lizard, in Monsters Inc.
Oh, Randall.
Randall?
Yeah, Steve Buscemi.
Or Randy.
Yeah, Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
That I love his performance in that.
So great.
Yeah. Well, whatever he does is great.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of these actors that, if there's two actors here talking in some scene and Steve Buscemi is standing in the background 100 yards away, you're watching Steve Buscemi. That's the kind of actor he is.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. Thank you.
I just want to say, first off, thank you also for making an impact on my childhood as well. I've grown up on all the Pixar movies. Toy Story was one of the very first movies I had on video even, so it's really important to me.
Oh, those are those big plastic square things.
Oh, yeah. One question, out of all the Pixar films that either don't have a sequel or don't have a sequel currently in development, like Incredibles, which one would you love to get a sequel?
Well, I think they're all sequel-esque, aren't they? I mean, that's... Bugs Life, they won't do another Bugs Life, probably not. Because that was fashioned after the Magnificent Seven. The movie?
Yeah.
So I think that's probably done. I probably wouldn't have a sequel. It cracks me up with that. Imagine going into any film studio in the world and say, hey, I got a great idea for a movie. It's about this 80-year-old guy who puts balloons on his house and the house floats away to Argentina with a Korean Cub Scout. I mean, any studio in the world, they would call security on you. They put you in a straitjacket. But Pixar, they go, hey, that's a good idea.
They make every concept amazing.
Yeah, it's just they take chances. Think of that risk, that storyline. Yeah, and every other studio, they're just redoing films that have already been made. Think, well, this is a success in 1934, so let's remake it.
Disney's doing it now with their animated films. They're all doing live action remakes. Like that's been their big forte these past few years.
Right. But I forgot your question. What was it?
With all the Pixar movies that didn't have a sequel, which one would you really want to have a second movie?
Oh boy, quick John, think. Does anybody can help me with that one? Well, Monsters Inc. had a sequel.
It was a prequel.
Where?
It was a prequel.
A prequel?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, it's a prequel to Monsters, that's right. Okay, Monsters Inc.
I want you to hear Abominable Snowman. Again, he's one of my favorite characters we played.
Welcome to the Himalayas. So I'm going to have on my tombstone just all lines from Pixar. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
Nice to see
Good
you.
afternoon.
It's nice to see you again. I saw you yesterday briefly. And I grew up watching Cheers with my family, and I feel like you've been part of our household for a long time. My children, then I started watching all the Pixar movies with, and they've grown up on those also. But my question today for you is, do you still stay in touch with any of your Cheers counterparts? Anybody you've worked with in Cheers?
Yeah, I was just with George a couple of weeks ago. George played Norm, and he, well, okay. The truth is no, because I live in Connecticut. You don't really see him, and someone asked me that question when I was out. And I said, no, I really don't. God bless you. And I said, no, I don't really see him. And my wife pointed out that the person that I said that to can look kind of disappointed because everyone's got the idea that, we're all just, we live in the same house. And so now, I say, when people say, do you see people? I say, yeah, once a month we meet at Ted's house and we play Twister. And people seem to be happy with that answer. But every now and then, yeah. But I talked to one of the characters of MASH recently, and he said from the time MASH ended to today, he's never seen any of the people. But that's just the way it is in Hollywood. It's really, Friends is probably different because, the girls. Girls like to do that, to be friendly and heartfelt. But guys, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Just kind of makes me want to ask, have you ever gone out to a bar with George?
No.
Would you guys just be inundated if you did that, I guess?
Oh yeah. We each have our own individual stories of, I went into the Cheers bar. Oh, this is actually a good story. How much time? I don't want to. Okay, but so anyway, I went into the Cheers bar. This is about 8 years ago. I went to the Cheers bar in Boston. I walked in and it was inundated. It was just crazy to the point that I had to leave. It was just suffocating and crazy. Either pictures or autographs or the crowd. So as it happened, maybe a few weeks later, say 2 months later, I'm in Boston again with my daughter. And we're looking at colleges. We're doing the college tour, seeing the colleges here and there and there. And we came here, that's where she decided to go. And then she said, Dad, can we go into the Cheers bar? And I said, no, honey, no. And I told her the story, what happened. And she was kind of disappointed. Then a little, a voice in my head said, don't be a dope. This is your daughter. This is a big deal for her. For me it's not a big deal, but okay, honey, let's go. Come on. So we go down the stairs into the bar, open the door. She goes in, and then I come in, and I stand there. The place is crowded, packed. People look up, and then they go back to what they're doing. and I thought, this is crazy. And my daughter's looking at me, And so I took my hat off. I might have had glasses on, so I took those off. And now I walked down, and I just kind of... Nothing. I got to the point where I was walking over to people's tables saying, hey, you gonna finish those French fries? My buddy Norm and I, people are looking at me like, get away from my table. And my daughter says, yeah, Dad, you're a real big deal, aren't you? That was funny. That was just funny.
John, big fan. I just wanted to say, as Cheers was ending, I was about a year old when it ended. So I'm starting to catch up on it now. I had a few questions for you. The first one was, I just wanted to know what your proudest moment as an actor.
A proud moment, I could say, Dude, I've had some extraordinary moments. There's a movie called Ragtime in London, and I got to work with James Cagney and Pat O'Brien in Ragtime, and I thought, this is special. And when I got to Los Angeles, it was a little film. I think it might have been the beginning of HBO. It was one of their first movies. I had a small part as a cop, and I worked with Bette Davis and Jimmy Stewart. So for me, you know, I thought, geez, that's just, you know, I keep thinking my high school principal was going to come in with my report card and say, "What's he doing in here with famous people?" Hey, look at, he got straight D's and an F. Get him out of here, you know. But no, those are extraordinary moments. You know, I guess they were proud moments, but for me, they were extraordinary moments. Actually, be with real legends. Speaking of old school actors, James Cagney, the acting he can do and the dancing he can do. Have you ever seen that, him dance? Yeah, you can see it on YouTube. It's
Yankee Doodle Dandy the other day.
Where he's dancing on the table. That was
Yankee Doodle Dandy.
I saw that.
Where he dances up the wall, across the stage, and pop, 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 and does a backflip. And that's, yeah, you want to see actors. If you really want to see what it used to be like when I was a kid, when I grew up watching, the Nichols brothers.
Awesome.
Just, yeah, go on YouTube and look up the Nichols brothers, and you want to see, you know, what they used to. You'll never see anybody like doing it. The James, I mean not James. What's the late night shows? Whatever their names are, Jimmy Fallon or whatever. You're never going to see an actor today do what actors then did. It was almost, you know, death-defying. But yeah, just, you know, YouTube Nichols brothers or James Cagney. But anyway, that's, you know, for me, that was it.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah.
In any Pixar movie, what character do you wish you could have voiced?
What did I wish I could have voiced in Pixar? I had never had that thought. No, you know, it's like being invited to a magnificent feast and then say, "Geez, I wish I had what that was on that guy's plate." No, I'm satisfied with, because I'm invited to the party, and you know, I'm doing Hand Me the Pig. You know, that's. Like I said before, the one that I like a lot is Mr. Potato Head, but only because it's Don Rickles, and I laugh a lot. Because in real life, when you meet him in person,
he's hysterical.
He's really a real funny guy.
Do you have any advice for anybody who's interested in acting or voice acting at all?
You know, I don't really think, like I said before, there's no such thing as a voice actor. There's an actor. And it's like anything else. You train and you get experience. Do you do acting now?
Well, I'm in theater and I wanted to start being an actor, so.
You're in theater and what?
I'm in theater, but that's really, yeah.
What's the last thing you're saying?
No, I'm in theater, that's really it. I don't really do anything else, but yeah.
Now, in theater, do they have you on stage?
Yes.
You know, acting?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the best, but also, I mean, the big leagues, it's like, you want to play for the Red Sox or, you know, the Cleveland Indians, you got to go to Boston or Cleveland. And if you want to act and make some serious cash, you got to go to Los Angeles or New York after you get your training here. But it's like anything else. If you really want to do it, you're just going to go ahead and do it. And the key is, don't let those other stupid things get in your way. If you've got a target here, this is where you want to get to, and along the way, you meet people and go, "Hey, have a drink," or "Come on, let's go over here." You got to say, "No, thanks. I got something to do the next morning. I got to get up early." And that's the downfall of most people. Just, you know, be your own counsel, but go for it. It's like anything else. But I'd say always have a skill. Get a skill that nobody can take from you. I don't care whether it's cutting hair or cooking or carpentry like I did. Because then you're going to, wherever you go in the world, you're going to be able to make a living. As long as you have a skill.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, John. My question is, because we all expect you in all of these Pixar movies, it's almost like the original Stanley cameo. We wait to see who you're going to play. I was wondering how the process goes. Is it just like they call you and say, hey, John, we got another movie, what do you want to do? Or do you get to pick any of your characters? How does that process work for you?
Well, the only one that came close to picking was Mac the Truck. I didn't really pick it, but they had me as the voice of the truck. And at the time, it was a Kenworth truck. But John Lasseter asked me one day, he said, what kind of truck did your father drive? And I said, Mac. That's as far as the conversation went. And then later on, I found out that he changed it to a Mack truck because my father drove a Mack.
Oh, that's awesome.
You mentioned earlier that the people at Pixar were very specific about how long and how short. You were saying, I was wondering if they did the animation first. For example, I know you've done dubbing, like you Spirited Away, show part in that, which you can match the mouth flaps. I was just wondering if it was similar to that, or it was just the timing sheet. They did to match the timing sheet before they did the animation.
They'll do renderings, they'll do drawings. I've never recorded to any animation. Ever. And because also what they do is they have a camera on the actor and they'll put our expressions into the character during the animation. So whether they have a lot of animation or not, I really don't know, frankly. I just know that I got a sheet of paper in front of me with the dialogue on it and they'll show me just sketches of the character. And then the director, whether it's John or Andrew or whoever it is, I'll explain what the character is and what's going on. But no, I've never done it to animation, ever.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, we have time for just a couple more questions, okay?
Well, you said we had all the time in the world. Didn't he say
Talk to her, the girl in the corner, blame her. She's the room boss.
Oh, you're a ball.
What was it like working with Tom Hanks in the Toy Story movies?
I heard, what's it again? I'm sorry.
What was it like working with Tom Hanks as Woody in the Toy Story movies?
Well, when we record, we're not with anybody else. We're just by ourselves. The only time I see Tom Hanks is from time to time at the openings of the movie, when the movie opens, red carpet. But Tom, I see him in church too, because we go to the same church down in Los Angeles.
If you never started acting, what do you think you would be doing now?
What a great question. If I never started acting, what would I be doing? What's that?
Building a house, right?
Oh yeah, no, I actually did that. That's what I thought I was going to do forever. When I was probably your age, I wanted to be a tugboat captain. Tugboats, I love tugboats. To this day, I've got paintings of tugboats, models of tugboats. Because I had a rowboat before I had a bicycle. And so I was always out there and, I'd get as close to the tugboats as I could when they come into the harbor, just the majesty. I think why I like tugboats is because they weren't flashy, they weren't fancy, but you knew that they were going to get you to where you wanted to go. And I just somehow, I liked that. So I wanted to be a tugboat captain.
One more question. Wow, you really are a voice actor.
Everybody needs to
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just wondering, when did you find out, or when
wasn't decided that you would be a voice in all the Pixar films?
Well, they just called me and said, "You want to do a voice of a pig in a Pixar movie?" And I just said, "Yeah." And then they called me, "Do you want to do a flea in a Pixar movie?" I said, "Yeah." And I joked, but I was halfway serious, that at one point I thought it was a clerical error. That they just didn't know I was making all these movies. There was a computer glitch or something. But no, it was that simple. I wish there was an exciting story to it. But no, we've become very good friends over the years. So I go up there quite a bit.
Thank you very much. That was a good message. Just one last thing. I guess IT Rob, we have the Facebook page. Bring back Cliff and Norm. You got it up and running. Everybody go on that and join it. We're gonna get 10,000 people joining in. We're gonna get that made on the road with Cliff and Norm. I think it can happen.
That was awesome. Well, I better warn George. He's probably watching a football game. It's probably the last thing he wants to do. Thank you, everybody.
Mr. Ratzenberger will be downstairs for the remainder of the day.